Okay, good evening to those of you on our YouTube, YouTube stream here. We will get started here in just a couple of moments. I just wanted to test a couple of things here and ensure that everything is up and running. So we're going to bring in our Facebook audience now and we'll get this video started. Stand by. All right, good evening, everybody. I am forecaster Nick Dunn here live with the Bell Park Weather Network. I hope everybody's having a good evening so far. The current time is 8:13 p.m. here on Wednesday, April 13th, 2022. And we have our first severe thunderstorm warning of the evening across portions of southeast Indiana. This is going to be including portions of, let me get the counties pulled up again for you. This is going to be a severe thunderstorm warning for winds up to 60 miles per hour for portions of Franklin and Ripley counties in southeastern Indiana. You can see the structure here that is starting to take some shape here across parts of Indiana just to the south of Greensburg. And the area that does concern me, you can see that there's kind of this comma head feature here. There's also been an uptick in lightning in this area, so that also has my attention as we are continuing to monitor that potential as well. We could see a little bit of rotation at times. The Weather Service in Indianapolis had actually tagged this warning as a tornado possible severe thunderstorm warning, and they do that sometimes on the bottom of those severe thunderstorm warnings. You'll see those from time to time where they will tag those as tornado possible. Now, the strongest part of this thunderstorm is just entered into portions of western Ripley County, and as you can see, it's going to be coming in towards Napoleon and Osgood and Versailles here in short order. Now, we're looking from the Weather Service radar out of Indianapolis, and I will tell you that the velocities have not been anything overly impressive. And I'm going to switch over now to velocity. There you go. And you can see there is a little bit of a couplet here. It's not very strong, but one does exist right there. So if you live in Napoleon or Osgood or Versailles, right now would be a good time just to kind of get indoors and get away from windows until this particular thunderstorm has passed. And that will give you a chance to ensure that you are protecting your life and staying safe. Again, we're tracking this severe thunderstorm warning. While the Weather Service in Wilmington has not yet tagged this as tornado possible, there certainly could be that potential that may happen yet this evening. So there's Holton, and this is also near Millhouse. I'll turn on some roads here for you so we can kind of get our bearings just a little bit with where we are. So there is Indiana Route 350. That'll be coming up to you down the line here. Also, there's US 50. If you're on US 50 coming out of Cincinnati towards Versailles, you're going to get hit pretty hard. There is some heavy rain, gusty winds, and some lightning. You can see the rain, at least briefly intense, but I'll tell you the area, and you can kind of, it's very easy to pick out here. There is a comma head feature right there. And within those comma head features, sometimes you can get enough wind coming in on the back side like this, and you can get yourself a quick spin-up tornado out of that. So don't be surprised if we do see a tornado warning at some point tonight if this feature were to continue in this particular trend. So let's see what happens over the next little bit. Let's put you an updated track on this as well. This is part of a line of thunderstorms that has developed, I'd say, within the last couple of hours, and will continue to likely develop a little bit further, at least for a little while. The question here is, how much longer is this line going to last? We'll track it here off to the northeast at about 45 to 50 miles per hour. And that's going to bring it into portions of Florence, Kentucky by 9:08, Cincinnati by 9:20, Richmond at 9:24, Kettering at 9:53, and coming into Dayton just before the 10 o'clock hour. If this holds together at this current pace and intensity, as we all know, the thunderstorms will sometimes change in terms of their overall strength and intensity. You're also going to want to watch this lightning counter right up here at the top of your screen. Let's see if anything comes about with this. If we start to see some downward trend, that could mean, at least for a brief while, that some of those thunderstorms may be weakening just a little bit. Up the line a little bit further here, closer towards Newcastle, you can see just some very heavy rain. There are some gusty winds in here, but this part of the line has weakened just a little bit, and we'll have to see if that maybe is a trend overall, or if this is something that's just going to kind of be short-lived. So let's see what happens as we go a little bit further down. The line here towards Louisville, if you're in the Louisville metro, there is a severe thunderstorm warning down here, and that's going to have to be watched as well. We'll have to see if this again kind of turns into anything significant. The lightning counter a little bit more intense down here into Kentucky, where there's just a bit more energy to work with and I would not be surprised if that kind of stays the trend as well. So we'll see how things go over the next several minutes. I'm looking at some of your comments and questions as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you see down there in the comments section, there is the opportunity for you, at least on those of you on the Facebook side, there is an opportunity there for some of you to check out our subscription page, get some awesome benefits there, exclusive content just for you, and you can also consider helping us in other ways by supporting us and donating to our organization. That's down there in the comments section. But kind of getting back to the topic at hand here, again, we expected this to be the situation today. A line of thunderstorms was going to develop and was going to encroach on the area. The question was whether or not it was going to be able to sustain itself long term. That's the question here still going forward. You can see that we don't have any tornado warnings. Even as far south as Elizabethtown, Kentucky, there's not a single tornado warning, and that's some good news. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see a ton of damage tonight across the region. We would like to see these storms come through with little to no fanfare, and things just kind of die down a little bit after that. So let's kind of wait and see what happens over the next several minutes here. Again, we have a severe thunderstorm warning for Franklin and Ripley counties in southeast Indiana. That is in our coverage area, and I'm actually going to turn off the other counties. There we go. So now you can see exactly who we cover. And if you're new to us here, we do cover portions of eastern Indiana, all of Ohio, and portions of West Virginia. So we hope we have a very wide range of audience here with us this evening. And of course, we'll keep you posted on everything that's going on across the region tonight. And again, we are not under any kind of watch or anything of that nature. In fact, the nearest watch to us is a tornado watch down towards Louisville. And that is a tornado watch that goes until 11 p.m. So even that in itself is likely going to have to expire a little bit early. So real quick, I am going to switch sources for just a minute. And I'm going to bring up a different radar. So give me just 1 second here while I do that. And as we're doing that, those of you in Cincinnati, again, you're getting closer to that 9 to 9:30 range for this to really start to come into your area and cause some potential problems. So we'll watch that very closely. Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and switch this over to this. Sometimes we like to switch radar sources every once in a while just to kind of get a bit of a different perspective on things. So as you can see here right now, we're going to zoom in just a little bit tighter here. This also includes up towards Metamora and Batesville as you get up into Franklin County, Indiana, so I don't want to forget about that. The terminal Doppler out of Cincinnati, let's look at the velocity on this and see. Yeah, there's certainly some strong winds here right now. If you live over here towards Westport, I know this is outside of our coverage area, but Westport and then moving into Holton, you guys are probably getting hit pretty good right now. Jackson, Dabney up here, approaching Osgood and Napoleon, some stronger wind gusts are likely to be moving into your area very, very soon. So if they're not there already, be indoors, be away from windows, and put yourself, don't put yourself into danger tonight trying to get a good view on these thunderstorms. There's a better look now again from the Indianapolis radar. I think that's going to give us probably, at least for a little while longer here, the best view at this particular thunderstorm. All right, so let's switch it back now, as I do prefer using our other software. I had to restart it here for just a second. And again, this provides a little bit better track on things. BJ over on YouTube, yeah, we're getting there closer to Central Ohio. We still have a little ways to go yet before that gets to us. So we'll see how things trended. Again, the question here, though, does it even make it to Central Ohio? Does this even really cross into Ohio in this intensity? Or is it a lot weaker tonight? That remains to be seen. And I know a lot of you are probably nervous and a little unhappy as it's getting dark. Nighttime thunderstorms tend to be a little scary. I certainly understand that, but we don't need you to be too upset or too concerned, as we're going to get you through this without any kind of problems here tonight. So we'll watch this very closely here for you over the next little while. Again, the big concern right now is this comma head feature that continues to produce the potential of seeing damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour and a non-zero tornado risk, although right now the Weather Service in Wilmington is not too concerned about it. But the issue is this comma head feature right there. That in itself, and I'll put the radar in motion so I can show you this a little bit better. And there was a tornado warning with this a while ago back across Indiana. You can see this entire comma head feature is rotating just a little bit. So that's a concern because that's where we could be seeing that potential for damaging winds. And that's about to cross over communities such as Batesville. It's coming out of Westport now. This will cross Millhausen and Napoleon and Osgood. You should be getting hit right now with some very heavy rain and likely at least some gusty winds. We've not had any reports of wind damage since it has crossed out of the Indianapolis coverage area, at least just yet. There near Seymour, you can see there was a damaging wind report there, but again, there's not been anything overly significant at this point, and we hope that it stays that way. All right. Also, again, you see the ticker at the bottom of your screen. You can head over to our website as well, bellparkmedia.com, and you can check out the latest updates that are going on there. Again, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued for portions of Franklin and Ripley counties, and this will go until 8:45. Okay, so we're actually going to go ahead and probably close out of this one. So let's do that. And let's switch back over to our other software. See if I can get this to pull back up. There we go. Okay, we may just have to kind of stick with this one here for the time being. So again, this is the way things look right now. And I'm going to put a little bit of a smoothing effect on this so it doesn't look as grainy for you. So again, severe thunderstorm warning till 8:45, portions of Franklin and Ripley counties. This is all of Ripley County and portions of western Franklin County and southeast Indiana till 8:45. The warning that is back to the west of this is still tagged as a tornado possible severe thunderstorm warning. So I still think we have some things to watch with that here over the next little bit. Close out of just a couple of things here real quick. 1 second. There we go. Okay. Okay, so again, right now we're not tracking anything severe. I am checking Twitter. I'm not seeing a whole lot. So that's some good news. I'm going to put this in motion for you so you can see the progression here just in the last 20 frames or so. And I'll zoom it out just a touch as well, especially for those of you here into the Cincinnati Metro. Again, as you can see, this comma head feature is still rotating, still spinning a little bit, and while there's not been a tornado warning, it is worth noting that I can't completely rule one out tonight. So just bear that in mind as we head over the next several minutes in time. This is about to cross I-74, at least the strongest part of this, and the Weather Service in Wilmington maintains that severe thunderstorm warning until 8:45. There have been no reports in some time, so let's hope that stays that way. I'm looking at the Weather Service out of Indianapolis to see if they're seeing anything. They're just saying there's a lot of gusty winds and heavy rain with this, absolutely. So let's watch and see what happens. Again, this may be one of those things where the reports are a little bit more on the delayed side, and they take a little while to come in. So just be prepared for that as we continue to go along here this evening. Working our way down to the south a little bit further now, I do see a tornado warning in central Kentucky now south of Louisville. And look what's happening here near Louisville. Let's stop the radar. I want to show you this. This part of the line is really starting to bow itself out just a little bit. Now, this in itself will track off towards the northeast and likely stay south of Cincinnati, but down the line, those of you Georgetown, Maysville, maybe over to Portsmouth may have to watch for this. And again, is it going to maintain this intensity? That's a little early to tell at this point. So just something I wanted to point out there. In fact, let's just real quickly, let's switch over to the Louisville, not the terminal, but the next rat. And yeah, that is a very solid looking bowing structure. Wow, in fact, 80-mile-per-hour winds now. That particular cell has been warned for over downtown Louisville. So that's a very dangerous situation. I hope everybody is safe down there, coming right through Mount Washington right now. And the track on that one, again, that would take it eventually down the line, approaching the Ohio River here, probably within the next 90 minutes. So those of you that are east of Cincinnati, over towards Georgetown and Maysville, we're going to have to watch that particular thunderstorm very closely to see the progression of that one. Let's look at the terminal Doppler out of Cincinnati and look at the reflectivity here coming into Ripley County. Again, you can see as we go over to velocity, there's certainly the potential for straight line damaging winds, but I'm not seeing the rotation in this, and again, that's not something that I'm overly surprised about. Let's go back over to the Indianapolis radar and check the velocity here. Yeah, there's still certainly some strong winds, especially coming in. We mentioned that there was some wind coming in on the backside on that comet head feature that's still spinning on the reflectivity, and that's very evident right now. You can see those brighter yellows. That's indicative of strong winds coming in from the backside, and then you see your inflow coming in out of the east and southeast, and that's what's giving us this comet head feature. And again, as you can see, it is right there. And I'll put the radar back into motion for you. You can see how this is spinning on the reflectivity. So that tells us there's still certainly some instability with this and the potential for seeing some damaging winds. And this part of the line here near Batesville is starting to show signs of maybe it want to bowing out as well. And again, that will move off towards the northeast. So eventually parts of downtown Cincinnati, especially on the western and northwestern sides of the metro, you may get hit with that. And you may see some strong to damaging wind gusts with that. Now, I'm not seeing anything yet from the Weather Service as if they are going to extend this severe thunderstorm warning into portions of Dearborn County, and they could even include parts of Hamilton County down the line. So we'll have to watch that over the next several minutes and see how things trend. And so again, if you're just now joining us, I'm forecaster Nick Dunn. It is about 8:30 now here at the bottom of the hour. We're tracking a severe thunderstorm warning approaching the Cincinnati metro area. And in our immediate coverage area, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Ripley and Franklin counties here until 8:45 for the potential of seeing damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. There is still a severe thunderstorm warning off to the west of this as well. Within this comet head feature, we could see damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour, and there is a tornado possible tag on that one. And a couple other things of interest here, while the velocity is not really showing anything in great detail in terms of where there could be some tornadic activity, my eyes are going to be right in here. If we start to see this tighten up just a little bit, we could see that tornado potential increase just a bit. But one thing I will say, we've got good inflow coming in out of the east and southeast, and there's pretty strong winds coming in on the backside, as noted here by these brighter yellows over portions of western Ripley County. So even if the heaviest of rain, which is now going to be east of Osgood and passing through Versailles, you may still get some strong winds on the backside of this as the heaviest rain departs. So your stronger winds may not be over just yet. And I think it's a good call by the Weather Service to leave the severe thunderstorm warning as is and not start to trim it back yet, because there is strong winds on the backside of that thunderstorm coming in as you're approaching the Batesville area. So let's watch and see what happens. And it looks like now we do have a new weather alert that has just been issued here by the National Weather Service. And this is going to be a severe thunderstorm warning until 9:15 for portions of Dearborn County, portions of Franklin County in southeast Indiana, also portions of Ripley County in southeast Indiana. So you'll see that polygon pop up on your screen here in just a moment, and that'll be an orange polygon. And let me see if they've elected to tag this tornado possible. I'm guessing not. Yeah, they have not. So they're just going to go ahead and maintain a severe thunderstorm warning for the potential of penny-size hail and damage and wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. And again, you'll see that polygon pop up on your screen here in just a few moments. So you should see that come up. And I want to check something here real quick and see if I can get our other software to stay on without flagging any issues here, because if we can, I'd like to use that one instead. It gives me just a little bit better view of things. And yeah, they're not tagging this one tornado possible just yet. There is now a confirmed tornado on the southeastern side of the Louisville Metro. That is not good news tonight whatsoever. Let's flip back over to our main software that I like to use here. So here near the Louisville Metro, they have a tornado warning that has been observed, and that is for $half size hail, and now a newer tornado warning down the line there. So we may have to watch these storms in Kentucky for a little while as they approach the Ohio River. But in terms of the immediate future, in terms of what is in our neck of the woods right now, we do have 2 active severe thunderstorm warnings, one of which will be expiring here very shortly. This is going to be for a line of thunderstorms capable of producing damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour and penny-sized hail for portions of Dearborn and Ripley and Franklin counties in southeast Indiana tonight, as we're watching this line of thunderstorms along with the comet head feature coming through the Greensburg, Indiana area. This could still produce a brief spin-up tornado tonight. Don't be surprised by that whatsoever. As we go over to velocity, and even the Wilmington radar is noting this as well, there are strong winds on the backside. We're not seeing a lot of strong winds on the leading edge of that line of thunderstorms, which could mean a couple different things. Number one, the radar may just not be seeing it, or number two, the damaging wind threat is actually on the backside after this particular thunderstorm starts to depart. Again, there is a comet head feature, and anytime we see that, we can start to grow some concern for some damaging winds. Now, okay, there is now a tornado warning. That is going to be in the Indianapolis office. And that's now going to be right up against our coverage area, so we're going to have to monitor this very closely. That's going to be a tornado warning now for portions of Decatur County in southeast Indiana until 9 o'clock. And we're going to have to watch that very closely over the next few frames and see what happens. I'm looking at things from the Indianapolis radar on another screen here. I'm not overly sure exactly what they're seeing there, but certainly they have issued a tornado warning. Okay, that is confirmed on the ground. Correlation coefficient, I think, is giving this away. So those of you now into Franklin County, Indiana, you need to be prepared to go to your storm shelters immediately. And let me see if I can get this to pull up for you. If we have to switch sources briefly, I will do that. Yeah, so there appears to be some sort of tornado on the ground right now in Decatur County. So let's flip back over to our other software. I want to point out one thing. And that is we appear to have a tornado on the ground right now in Decatur County, and that's going to be here. Okay, so correlation coefficient, this tells us where we have non-meteorological targets such as bricks, boards, nails, trees, shingles, cars, and whatnot that should not be there. And this area of correlation coefficient has me concerned, and this is why we have a tornado warning now. While it is not been confirmed as on the ground by the Weather Service, there certainly is something going on in this area. We're going to have to monitor this over the next few frames, and we'll have to see if the Weather Service in Wilmington elects to issue a tornado warning for Franklin and or Ripley counties. We'll have to see how this trends, because again, as I put the radar into motion, this particular comet head feature is spinning. So there certainly is the potential to see a tornado with this. Anytime we have this comet head feature, this is a very classic signature for seeing damaging winds, and those would be straight line winds, and even a brief tornado. So don't be caught off guard here down here in southeast Indiana and soon to be southwest Ohio tonight. This is a pretty nasty looking line of thunderstorms that has the capability of producing straight line damaging winds, and as you can see here, maybe a tornado. Again, my suspicion is up right now that we do have a tornado, and Brant Warren just sent this to me, so I appreciate that. We appear to have, let's loop the correlation coefficient. Yeah, there certainly is something on the ground here. I would say between Greensburg and Millhausen, closer to Slabtown, I'm guessing Smyrna, and Tarkeo Corner, right in here. Let's loop this again. Watch the last couple of frames there. See the darker blues come up just in the last 2 to 3 frames right there? Yeah, that's a problem. I think there's certainly something on the ground here. So we'll see if the Weather Service in Indianapolis has anything to say regarding this. Okay, so the Weather Service in Indianapolis is saying that there is a possible tornado in southeastern Decatur County right now, and that's why they've went ahead and issued that tornado warning at this time. So again, that does not include our coverage area, but I did want to point that out. And as you can see, the latest frame there, it appears to have dropped off. That doesn't mean that it's lifted, but it certainly has weakened. So we'll take you back now to our main source here, and I want to give you an updated track on this, because those of you in the Cincinnati metro, this is approaching your area here pretty soon, and this comet head feature could fall off, and then a new one may develop right behind it. Okay, I'm also communicating with our team right now as well, just to kind of keep everybody updated and ensure everything is being communicated correctly. But the updated track on this looks a little something like this. And again, this is moving off to the east and slightly north of east. We'll move it at about 50 miles per hour, just so that we're giving everybody an extra heads up here. So over the next couple of hours, you have Florence at 9:07, Cincinnati 9:17, Middletown 9:25, Dayton 9:45, and then moving into Xenia at about 10 o'clock tonight. So that's just this part of the line. If this holds together, I emphasize that as a big if, because again, these storms may weaken just a little bit. That lightning count has come way down. We were in the 70s when we first came on in this area, and that has since dropped down into the 40s. So we're going to have to watch that closely here and see what ends up happening as we continue to move along here. Downtown Louisville continues to be under a significant severe thunderstorm warning. There's a couple tornado warnings down there in Kentucky now as well. So our evening could be just now getting started here tonight, and we'll have to monitor things very closely. Looking at Decatur County, again, you can see the flashing red box there on your screen. That's indicative of a tornado warning that has been issued for portions of Decatur County. Let's see if I can get that to pop back up again. There we go, until 9 o'clock, so another 20 minutes. The Weather Service in Indianapolis believes there may have been a tornado there, and the latest scan keeps it. Boy, that's just really too close to call. It could still be down. It appears to be a little weaker on the correlation coefficient than it was just a few minutes ago. But again, the Weather Service in Wilmington may have to monitor that for the potential of a new tornado warning soon. Of course, if there is one, we'll let you know. Okay. Again, just checking everything right now as well. And again, the thing here to mention tonight, with the tornado potential tonight, we are not talking strong, long-lived tornadoes. These would be brief, very short duration type of tornado warnings. I don't expect this to be an outbreak or anything of that nature. I'm going to put the radar into motion now from the Wilmington site so you can see how the storms have progressed over the last few frames. Again, things moving off to the east and northeast, 45 to 50 miles per hour. We could see that accelerate just a little bit. But again, we still have some time here before this approaches the Cincinnati area. You can see that comma head feature back towards Greensburg. That's the area of rotation. And again, there appeared to be a tornado confirmed on the Indianapolis radar there in Decatur County. I'm monitoring that on a secondary monitor. The correlation coefficient has dropped off now. So we'll have to watch and see if something new develops. The Weather Service in Wilmington, I'm sure, will be actively discussing whether or not they want to issue a new tornado warning here, probably before too much longer. So if they do elect to issue that, we'll come back and obviously we'll give you a live update on that. Okay, tree down near Carmel, Indiana, that would be way out and way far away from this. So, and also of point here, something else that I'm just now noticing, a new comma head feature is starting to develop to the west of Connorsville. So I'm going to draw this here for you, and I'm going to pick a different color so that way it sticks out just a little bit more for you. Okay. So we have comma head feature number 1. I thought I turned it on. There we go. Okay, so this is our bigger comma head feature right here. There's a new one developing here near Rushville. This, again, your inflow comes in this way, and your precipitation's wrapping back around it. So Rushville, Connorsville, maybe as far south as Laurel. Be prepared, as we could see an additional warning, or a new warning, I should say, coming out for this very soon. Weather Service in Wilmington continues the severe thunderstorm warnings until 9:15 for Franklin, Dearborn, and Ripley counties. And again, main concern, damaging winds to 60 miles per hour. But I do point out, I'm going to clear off what I just drew for just a second. I do want to point out that right in here, okay, we could still see a tornado develop, and we could see a new tornado warning issued down the line here in just a little bit, potentially, for Franklin and Ripley counties. Again, that is a comma head feature, and that is showing some signs of rotation. All right. Let's go over to velocity now. Still seeing strong inflow and strong winds on the backside. They've just updated that tornado warning and trimmed it back just a little bit, and they're into Decatur County. And that would be the noise you just potentially heard there. That just shows that they've updated the tornado warning They're going to maintain it. They're not canceling it just yet, but we'll see if the Weather Service in Wilmington plans on extending that. All right, let me look at some more of your comments here. So I'll make sure that we're... Again, the main concern right now is going to be Southwest Ohio and Southeast Indiana, at least in the near term. Down the line, that concern may have to grow just a little bit. And now, as we look into Kentucky a little bit, here east of Louisville, there are now multiple tornado warnings, 2 of which are observed. So that's a concern. If you're heading east of Cincinnati tonight towards Georgetown, Maysville, and again, this line of storms may weaken before it gets there, but this is certainly a cause for concern. There are now 5 tornado warnings along that line. I'll move it down a little bit further so you can see. There you go. Okay, this will be our next issue right here. That'll be our next line of storms that it encroaches in on the region here very soon. I would suspect the Weather Service in Wilmington is going to have to look at issuing some warnings soon for their Kentucky counties. And we'll have to monitor that as well to see if they're going to have to issue anything. Will the northern line take most of the energy? That's a good question. I honestly think that the further south you go, the energy's a little bit better. So I think, if anything, the southern storms may last a little longer than the northern storms. But let's wait and see what happens with this. All right, let's get you an updated track on timing here. And again, it's just going to be this portion of the line right here that we're tracking for that potential seeing some damaging winds. And we'll move that off to the northeast at about 50 miles per hour. So at least the concern right now where there's a severe thunderstorm warning, you have Florence, Covington, Newport, Forest Park, and Cincinnati by 9:15. So within the next half hour, expect portions of the downtown Cincinnati area to be seeing some heavy rain, some gusty winds. There's not a ton of lightning with this part of the line. I do have to say that. And I'm a little concerned that you may get caught off guard. So you have some advanced time right now in the Cincinnati area. Just be prepared. Now, tracking the storms down the line here towards Louisville. I'm going to have to move the radar probably to show you this one. Okay, so this would approach the Ohio River by 10 o'clock. So within the next hour, into other portions of southwest Ohio, there is a concern for this bowing structure, which looks very intense, I must say. Okay, I'm not sure what that noise was there. Okay. Okay. All right, so again, those of you now that are east of Cincinnati, this is a cause for concern here. This line of storms near Louisville, which again has at least one observed tornado warning with it, and there are multiple other tornado warnings down the line. So there's your kind of heads up, really early heads up for southwest Ohio if this trend does continue. The original severe thunderstorm warning for Ripley and Franklin counties has expired. And let's go back in and talk about that now, because I do want to point out one thing here, and that is that the Comet Head feature has really kind of separated itself from the main line of thunderstorms. So the area of rotation there, that blinking red box, there's not really any kind of signatures at this point that would lead me to believe that there's any kind of tornadic activity going on. We're not seeing the lower correlation coefficient values, but those of you here towards Batesville, Laurel, and even Metamora, I would still be watching this. If this were to potentially drop another tornado, a new warning could be required for portions of Franklin County, in southeast Indiana, that is. Not to be confused with Franklin County, Ohio. I'm going to change something real quick here. Okay. Alright, so I wanted to change the map style there just a little bit as some things were not working there on the backside. But again, that blinking red box, they're near Greensburg, Indiana, right there on I-74. And I hope nobody's out driving there on I-74. That would not be very good this evening to see that. Okay, if you're out driving, there's a brief tornado there that could cause some damage to your vehicle and even to yourself. So don't get caught out in this tonight whatsoever if you're in that area. All right, let's get you an updated track on timing now, really of the whole line, because even outside of the severe thunderstorm warning, I am concerned about this area up here towards Greensburg and just to the north of there. Okay, and so if we take that out at about 50 miles per hour, and again, this is over 2 hours. A lot could change in 2 hours. So you have Richmond at 9:25 approximately, Dayton at about 10 o'clock, if that wants to hold together. They now have issued a special weather statement for this comma head feature. And it looks like now the Weather Service, emergency management in Decatur County says that there was a tornado in southeast Decatur County and that law enforcement is en route. The Weather Service had picked up on that, and our forecaster Brant Warren also picked up on that as well. And so now law enforcement is en route to areas south of Greensburg and Decatur County. It's just outside our coverage area. But that just goes to show now, for those of you that are out ahead of this, Connorsville, Laurel, Brookville even, this has had a history of producing a tornado, and while it does look a little weaker, don't let your guard down, as that tornado warning has now been allowed to expire a little early. Okay? Do not let your guard down whatsoever. Tornado warning now for Decatur County has been allowed to expire, so that's some good news there. All right, so now we're kind of left just to focus on this bowing structure now. And I call it a bowing structure because it is starting to bow out just a little bit here, just to the west of Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. There could certainly be some stronger wind gusts. Let me look at the terminal Doppler out of Cincinnati and see if we're seeing anything on velocity of concern here. Yeah, let's flip over for just a moment to that, and then we'll come back. So you'll see the radar flip here. This is looking at the terminal Doppler out of Cincinnati at this point. Now, a couple things of interest here. Number one, we're not seeing any rotation up in here. Okay, this would be the area of concern for that comma head feature, and I'm not seeing anything there, so that's good. We are seeing straight line winds, and let me double check that noise there real quick. Okay, emergency management there in Decatur County is confirming that tornado touchdown at this time. Okay. All right, so this area in blue that I just kind of drew here, this is that straight line damaging wind, and as you can see, there's just a little bit of a bow trying to get started. And what happens when thunderstorms blow out, we have strong winds coming in on the backside that allows a surge of wind to go out ahead of that thunderstorm, and we start to see that backward C shape. And we're starting to see a little bit of that here near Aurora as it's approaching the Lawrenceburg area. So don't get caught off guard. May get real quick bursts of strong winds. Now, going back over to reflectivity, I'm not seeing any signs of tornadic activity here. As you can see, this is fairly straight. There are a couple of spots. One right here of interest. I could argue this one as well. And maybe a couple more on down the line. These little blue circles here are spots where they're just these little kinks in the line. I think actually there's a better one down to the south here, just to the southwest of Aurora. That will come up into Lawrenceburg here shortly. Any one of those could produce a very quick tornado. And when I say quick, I'm talking maybe a minute or two. And that's going to be about all it lasts, potentially. So we'll have to watch that very closely. But again, that's looking from the terminal Doppler out of Cincinnati, and I'll put this into motion for you so you can see the progression of this. Again, moving off to the northeast, and in fact, the last couple of frames appears to almost want to turn more north-northeast, and that's a very interesting trend. And as you can see, though, the reflectivity, watch. The northern end of this is really starting to weaken just a little bit as it's approaching the Ohio state line. We'll see if that's a trend or not over the next several minutes. Certainly, we will have to monitor that. Okay. For the northern okay. So, okay, I'll get you a store track in just a second. I see where you're looking at. Okay, so that comma head feature, that rotating part of the thunderstorm that you're seeing there, okay, that's going to head up towards Batesville, Metamora. Eventually that will cross into Ohio, but again, I want you to pay attention. This is starting to really fall apart. And we hope that that's going to be the trend here over the next several minutes, that we see that really start to weaken out. Okay. I'm just kind of scouring Twitter for a few things, so bear with me for just a few minutes here. Just looking to see if there's any updates that need to be shared. Okay. Turn that off there for just a minute. Don't want anybody to get too alarmed there. Okay, so going through Twitter right now, I'm not seeing much in the way of any reports, so that's some good news, and I hope it stays that way as we head through the rest of the overnight hours tonight. So let's get you an updated track on everything now, kind of a wide view for you. An updated track. I see a lot of people that are joining and asking for a track, so that's great to see. We're going to track two areas. Okay, number one, these storms down towards Louisville remain very intense. There are severe thunderstorm warnings for winds up to 70 to 80 miles per hour. There's a confirmed tornado east of Louisville that is moving off to the northeast. So area number one of interest that we're going to focus on is this northern storm with the comma head feature. And I did not draw that right, so let's try that again. There we go. Okay, and that's moving off to the northeast at about 45 to 50 miles per hour. So an updated time of arrival for this, you're looking at Florence, 9:08. That's been pretty consistent. So you're looking at about 14 minutes from now. Hamilton, 9:14. Cincinnati, 9:16. Dayton, a little bit before 10 o'clock. Okay, and that's with this comma head feature, which now has broken apart just a little bit. And what I mean by that is right in here, it's become disjointed a little bit. And so that's a sign of things weakening. And again, that's some good news. When we see these features kind of break off like that, it's typically some good news, but let's kind of wait and see if that is going to be a trend. Okay, further to the south. Those of you that are southeast of Cincinnati, I want you to be watching this. Okay, this part of the line looks pretty intense. There are multiple severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings. And if we track that to the northeast, at about 50 miles per hour, you're looking at Lawrenceburg at 9:01, Frankfort 9:03. You're looking at Georgetown 9:22, coming to Lexington at 9:26, and then Maysville at 10:18. So that's kind of, it'll be approaching the Ohio River by that point, about 10 o'clock. So about an hour from now, we could be seeing some pretty dangerous thunderstorms moving into other portions of southwest Ohio. And again, we mentioned earlier tonight that, and even over the last couple of days, that the best chance for any severe weather was going to be near and west of US 68, and so far that has been the trend, and I really do expect it to stay that way. Okay, so at this point now, severe thunderstorm warning still continues until 9:15 for portions of Franklin and Ripley counties. They've taken Dearborn County out, and as you can see here towards Harrison, Lawrenceburg, and the town of Bright. We're still watching this, and it is trying to bow out just a little bit more. And that could be a sign of strong to damaging winds. Let's go over to velocity. And yeah, there's still strong winds on the backside. I can definitely see that. Those brighter oranges that you see on the screen here, yeah, that's an indication of strong wind at least coming in on the backside. So that's why we're starting to see, if we go back over to reflectivity, that's why you're starting to see this particular line start to bow out just a little bit. The lightning count has come down. It's still up there a little bit, but it's certainly not nearly as high as it was. I would kind of expect this line of thunderstorms for the time being in the next half hour to kind of maintain its current strength. I don't expect any intensity whatsoever at this particular point in time, just based on we are getting to that point in the evening now. We're starting to lose some daytime heating, starting to lose some instability, and that's just kind of where things are at the present moment. To the further to the north of this, that other comma head feature that we were watching southwest of Connorsville has dissipated. There are some lightning strikes showing up now south of Connorsville, but not seeing anything of interest there. Again, they did issue a special weather statement. Well, I don't see it populated there, but they did issue one for areas south of Richmond for that comma head feature, for the potential of at least some strong gusty winds. If you're up here towards Muncie, pretty heavy rain tonight. Not a whole lot of thunder or lightning with this activity, but certainly some heavy rain that's approaching into Darke County. That'll eventually move up here into Mercer County as well. Some heavier rain. I'll put the radar into motion so you can see that. You can see that that's moving off to the northeast. You could get a quick quarter to a half inch of rain out of that area of the oranges and yellows coming out of Newcastle and Muncie heading into Salina and Greenville. Could see a quick quarter to half inch of rain. And same can be said with this line of thunderstorms. This is at least going to produce briefly heavy rain. You can still see that comet head feature is still rotating just a little bit. But again, as of right now, we're not seeing any signs of tornadic activity. We can sometimes call that a meso-low even. And again, there was a confirmed tornado south of Greensburg in Decatur County that law enforcement is responding to at this point. We'll keep you posted on that, even though it's just outside of the coverage area. But that's the immediate look, at least at what's here locally at this point. I see a lot of you talking about the red sky at night, sailors delight. Red sky in the morning, sailors take warning. Yeah, I've heard that myself before several times as a kid growing up. That was kind of, it was just kind of how things were, that's just kind of how things were back then. And again, for those of you that are asking for other locations, again, this is going to be a while yet tonight. This is not a super fast-moving line of thunderstorms, but it certainly is moving. And it'll be a while before it approaches even Dayton. We're probably talking 10 o'clock at this point. Columbus, probably closer to 11 o'clock. Okay, it looks like the Weather Service may go ahead and allow this severe thunderstorm warning to expire, potentially. They have issued a a special weather statement for Boone County, Kentucky, and Hamilton County, Ohio. I'm trying to see if I can get those to populate now. There you go. Okay. So this would lead me to believe that the Weather Service is not going to issue a severe thunderstorm warning for the Cincinnati Metro, and that's some good news. And we'll probably concede our live coverage here for the time being in just a few minutes. But Hamilton County here, they are saying special weather statement for gusts up to 50 miles per hour. And I think this is a good move because we're not seeing any reports of wind damage. Now, again, we had the area south of Greensburg in Decatur County where there was a confirmed tornado. But outside of that, we've not seen any severe weather reports coming in out of Dearborn County or out of Ripley County so far. So I think this is a great move. I'm sure there are some gusty winds, and that's very evident just by the reflectivity structure here. But we're not seeing anything right now that would lead me to believe that a severe thunderstorm warning is required for Hamilton County just yet. And we'll see if that changes in the next few minutes. But again, this comet head feature, remember we talked about this. See where it has come disjointed right in here? Okay, you can see where these two areas of reds are broken off a little bit on the reflectivity side. Again, I mentioned that was a sign of weakening, and I think that's exactly what's happening. The overall winds may be decreasing just a little bit, and maybe this will be our only warning of the night. And maybe these storms down here in Kentucky won't be much of a problem, but that'll be our next heads up there for those of you southeast of the Cincinnati Metro. Be prepared for that. So I'll tell you what, for the time being, while we are seeing a weakening trend in warnings at this time, we are going to go ahead and cease our live coverage for the time being. If you are in the Cincinnati Metro, be prepared for strong gusty winds and heavy rainfall, a little bit of lightning, and if we do see any further warnings, we'll come back live with you here on Facebook. So I'm forecaster Dunn reporting. Have a good evening, everybody, and stay safe out there.